Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Rive to receive the top 10 stocks to buy right now. Coinbase has really been through a number of tumultuous weeks here, getting a Wells notice from the SEC, having one of its bank partners collapse, but the stock is actually holding up fairly well. So we want to take a fresh look at Coinbase, some of the risks the company faces, and what investors should be thinking about Coinbase in the future. My name is Travis Hoium. Thank you for watching Rive Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube. And don't forget to check out the Motley Fool's top 10 stock picks at fool.com/Rive. I want to start here with a tweet from Brian Armstrong, Coinbase's founder and CEO. He says here, Coinbase received a Wells notice from the SEC focused on staking and asset listings. A Wells notice typically precedes enforcement action, meaning that a lawsuit could be coming from the SEC. He goes on to point out a number of inconsistencies in the SEC's policies and what they've approved over the last few years. But I think the most ironic is the first one that he talked about. The SEC actually approved Coinbase to go public 2 years ago, and their S1, which is a filing that you do as a private company that's looking to go public, to basically explain your business to investors and point out everything that you're doing, talked about staking 57 times. So this was clearly something that Coinbase was both building and expecting to get a lot of revenue from. Now, Ethereum at that time was still on proof of work, not on proof of stake. So that transition had not happened, and Coinbase had not become the big staking company that it is today on Ethereum. But it's notable that this was not a surprise that they were doing that. Coinbase is also one of the most conscious companies in thinking about their legal position because they're trying to play within the rules. And they have reported that they've talked to or tried to talk to the SEC a number of times about what are you looking for when we're listing coins? If you say that we're listing securities, we think that we're not based on the rules and laws that are available to us today. So why do you think that? And the SEC has simply not given them an answer. So I don't know if you're Coinbase, how you really answer that. And that's really what he talks about a lot here. And this is one of the telling things here. Armstrong and Coinbase have always been willing to work with governments and regulators around the world. They're starting to do that in a number of jurisdictions where they're seeing a lot of growth in Europe, in Asia, and the US seems to be a place that is just going after cryptocurrency. There are a number of senators and people in Congress who have explicitly started to go after cryptocurrency, and now the SEC is doing the same thing. So obviously something that's concerning. But you can see here, this is just the stock chart over the last month. The stock is actually gone up a little bit. And while it's been a little bit turbulent, investors are actually holding on to this stock pretty well. You can see that there was a great buying opportunity here back in late December, early January. But I think this Wells notice and this enforcement action is something that investors are kind of looking past because Coinbase has said that they will fight this, that they will fight the SEC. Some of their competitors have actually settled with the SEC in part because they didn't have the financial resources to be able to fight a battle with the SEC for multiple years. Coinbase does have those finances, does have the ability, does have the lawyers to be able to question anything that the SEC does and take them to court and fight this battle out in court. Armstrong is obviously confident that they would win that court battle. Ripple is the other company that's fighting the SEC over the security issue with its XRP token offering. Some of the evidence from Ripple has actually made its way to Coinbase's legal proceedings. So from a legal perspective, it looks like the crypto industry is starting to beat back the SEC and that kind of enforcement action. What is potentially more problematic is the banking regulators trying to basically unbank cryptocurrency and crypto companies. We saw with the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank that some of USDC token, that's the stable coin that is half owned by Coinbase and half owned by Circle, they had billions of dollars worth of funds at Silicon Valley Bank and then a few other banks that had been shut down by the FDIC. As part of that sale process, the FDIC and other regulators have reportedly told companies that they cannot buy the crypto part of those businesses. Now, it's not clear entirely why, because these companies are not taking risk on cryptocurrency, which is potentially a volatile asset. So they're basically just trying to unbank a lot of these companies and customers. This makes Coinbase's value proposition for cryptocurrency and for its customers better than Coinbase could do itself. If you are worried about the security of banks or the US dollar, or making international transactions, or the government watching what you're doing, and you've been intrigued by something like cryptocurrency, what better reason to look into it even further, maybe invest in it more, than at a time when the government is having its hands all over what people and businesses are doing through its control of the banking industry. I just think that's such an ironic position that we're in here, is that the crackdown from a regulatory perspective actually makes Coinbase and the crypto industry's case for itself better than the crypto industry can make itself. There have absolutely been failures, but there have been failures in banking as well. And those were companies that were supposedly playing by the rules, whereas a lot of these crypto companies were not playing by the rules. I would love to see some sensible regulation, particularly in the US. We're starting to see that around the world. I think that's one of the things that's notable. Coinbase is a global company. It's literally called Coinbase Global. So it's not only reliant on the US and US regulators, even though it is a US based company. Sometimes being the one that fights the regulators and fights the system actually puts you in a much better position. We saw this in the internet in the late 90s and early 2000s. There was a lot of crackdown on what people could do online. And that led to an explosion in value when it turned out regulating things like content was not going to be the best way to go. So these are absolutely concerns for Coinbase. And revenue may be hit as people pull money out of the USDC token in particular. That's been a huge revenue generator for Coinbase because they do make money off of the interest of the deposits that are in the USDC ecosystem. But this is not the end of the world for Coinbase. I actually like that Brian Armstrong and the company have been so adamant in fighting back against this. He actually tweeted out that this has actually focused the company and made their mission more visible both to employees and to customers. And at the end of the day, doing financial transactions in something other than the US dollar is not illegal. As much as us in the US have gotten used to the US dollar being the medium of exchange, cryptocurrency is trying to give a different alternative, a digital medium of exchange that's available around the world in a very fast, in a very quick manner. I think that's absolutely something worth pursuing and the kind of disruption that I want to follow here on the Rive project. So I'm a shareholder in Coinbase. I think they're making all the right moves. I'm not a buyer of the stock right here. I'd like to see it pull back a little bit. And there are a lot of questions about free cash flow and net income over the next few quarters and even the next couple of years. But long term, I really like where this company is headed. And that's why I continue to stay invested. But what do you think about Coinbase, about this recent news in the crypto industry and from regulators? I'd love to hear your comments in the comments section below. Subscribe to Rive Investing here on YouTube. And if you're interested in more really high potential stocks, subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. It's the link I have. It's the first link there in the show notes. I'll be doing deep dives on a lot of companies, including Coinbase in the future. So I'd love to see you there as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.